Which one is this? The BigRia.com Consumer Guide to Indiana Indie Turnkey Investing. 9 questions to ask yourself to avoid being ripped off and make sure that you win in the indie market. How's it going, guys? Awesome Mayo rhymes with KO. If you are an Indianapolis real estate investor, right? If you invest in the Indianapolis market from out of state or in state, if you want to create a passive income in real estate, you have to own a bunch of real estate, a bunch of rental properties, either commercial or residential, single family. You have to own enough houses that create this passive income that are managed for you. I promise you, we've been having these conversations today. We've had a lot of these conversations lately as we've gotten into more into the turnkey and passive income and building this model out. And I promise you this, I've had a lot of conversations with out-of-state investors. We all have on our team. Anna has. And here's my promise to you, okay? I've said promise like 5 times already. If you are an out-of-state Indiana and you're an investor in the Indianapolis market and you're having problems with your management, which everyone does, right? That's the number one problem people have. This class will really change your life. This can change everything for you. I promise you, we have made this in a way. I've sat down, I've talked to many people, and I've thought, you know what? If I had one quiz to give you, one thing to give you, say, hey, look, these are the questions you need to ask. These are the exact answers you're looking for. Just take this material and use it from now on. This is the standard you need to use. The ruler you should use to measure people by. This is that class. I promise you, go through this stuff. It's good stuff. 3 promises for Awesome after you go through this consumer guide. Number 1, you'll never get ripped off by a shady turnkey LC company again. It'll never happen to you. You'll know exactly what to look for, what questions to ask, and how to get right, because there's so many people out there. It's amazing because the market's hot right now or whatever. There's people. It's just amazing how many people will not return calls, won't get back on emails, like basic stuff, right? And how many realtors are just wasting everybody's time. There's so many people out there. I'd say at least 70% of the realtors that we're looking at. We've been doing this math now as we're picking up just a gargantuan number of properties, and as we're working with doing deals and making things happen. Our different heroes are doing stuff. There's so often do you run into these just basic LCs. They don't even return phone calls, or if they do, they say the stupid stuff. They don't even try. The laziness of realtors, property managers, and other real estate professionals in Indiana is costing Hoosiers billions of dollars. It's bonkers. So number 1, you're never going to get ripped off again. You're going to know what to look for. Number 2, you'll know exactly what questions to ask to find and build a brilliant team of your own to manage your assets. Whether we ever work together or not, you'll know you'll have the tools to do that. Number 3, you'll get $1 billion education on creating the standard of compliance gating. Let's say you're not a real estate person. Let's say you're not in real estate. Let's say you're not in Indiana real estate. Let's say you're not out of state. Let's say those things don't apply to you. You still want to go through this because people always ask me what's the great other great examples of creating the standard, building your nobody mountain, having compliance assets. This class is that. It's a good example of how to set that up. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, is this just a marketing class? Yes, it is, but it's so useful. You're gonna love it. All the best marketing is useful. So 9 questions to ask to avoid being ripped off and make sure that you win in the indie market. Here are those 9 questions. I'm going to give them to you right now. 9 questions, each with a good and bad answer. Number 1, where are the testimonials? It's not as simple as it thinks. We're going to get into this in a second. I'm going to read these through, then I'm going to go through each one of them, tell you why it's important, what a good answer is, what a bad answer is, and what to look for. Number 1, where are the testimonials? Number 2, what is the definition of success? Number 3, where exactly is there nobody mountain? Number 4, can I go through their education process? Number 5, can I see and build my own asset acquisition plan? Number 6, what other business successes have been made by the group, by the people that are managing your asset? Number 7, how transparent and ethical is the process of acquiring and managing? This is really important. What good are they doing for the communities, and how well are they serving? Are they just in the communities making money, or what are they doing? Number 9, are these people crazies? People who are hungry, skilled, and obsessed. This is super important. So how to use this consumer guide. If you're not a turnkey investor, take note of the educated consumer, nobody mountain, compliance asset. Realize that management is 90% of where you're going to make your money. I don't know if I should go through this again. Is this the right place? Okay, this is the right place to go through this. Okay, so first, here's how to use this. Take these 9 questions and go to BigRia.com. Go to the link below. You can actually download this, and we have them in a quiz format where you can actually grade these people on a scale from 1 to 3. Each answer has 1 to 3. Add up the answers out of a total of 27 points. That'll give you a good idea of where to measure these people at. Most people, honestly, are going to be at 9s. They're going to give 1s on all these answers. And you have to understand that if you do this correctly, you're not just going to build a better management team, but you're going to build a better team to actually help you acquire more assets and build your passive income. If you don't do this, almost every investor we talk to, they had what happens is you have a problem with your property, and now you're all reactive. And when you're reactive, man, you're just grasping at straws. Someone gives you a good answer, someone returns a phone call, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. They're not. They just returned a phone call. That's all they did. And now you're trusting them with your entire child's future, right? Their college fund or whatever that you're using to save money for. It's a really dangerous thing. And when laziness is nothing has killed more people, nothing has caused more problems than laziness, financially and otherwise. And it's really important that you know what to look for to steer clear of people like that. If you're not a turnkey investor, take note of the educated consumer, nobody mounted compliance stuff that we're going to go over in this video. Realize that management is where 90% of the profit will lie on. You must get this right. Here's the thing. No matter where you buy real estate, you can buy at the wrong price, you can buy in the wrong location, you can buy at the wrong time, you can do everything wrong. But if you manage it correctly, you're always going to win, in America at least. Because because the market generally goes up. And even though the appreciation across the board over the last 50, 60 years is about 1% above inflation, it's not that great, right? There's certain pockets that obviously do a lot better, but the hottest markets in the country are doing like 20, 25% a year. So that's, it gives you a sense of what to look for as far as appreciation goes. It's not about that generally, unless you're in a hot market or you're in a market that's specifically what you're doing. It's the long game. This is what we want to do with all our businesses. And you need to understand that your property management, if you get an asset properly managed and properly run, where it runs autonomously, that's a secret to everything. Whether we talk about active investing, where you're going to build a business that creates passive income for you, you need to have management policies and a team that are in place to make that happen. But in this case, we're talking about real estate. That's your asset. You need to have a team. The management team it's absolutely vital that you get this part right. The Indianapolis management. This is how to, the Consumer Guide to Indie Turnkey Investing, property management. Does it say property management? That's what this is about. How to find a good property management team. Take each question, grade these people from 1 to 3 and how well they answered, and then add up the score. So we're going to go over 9 questions, 1 to 3, just give them a grade. You should go to their first, here's how to get these answers. First, go to their website. If they don't have a website, oh my gosh, man, go to their website, right? They should have some stuff online, some digital footprint. And if they're like, oh, we don't use the internet, blah, blah, what does that tell you, right? Because then when you have tenants that have problems, what are they doing? They're dialing a rotary phone where they send in smoke signals. They gotta have a website. Now on that website, you want to see how many of these 9 questions are answered on their website. And that should give you a good sense of this stuff. And by the way, you should compare, we do a lot of turnkey investing now. You should compare all this to us as well. And you might think, oh, awesome. That's so, you're just coming up with questions that make you look like a genius. First of all, I mean, that's true. But what better questions than what I went over, I promise you, I'm going to go through these questions again. I'm going to go through why they're important and what to look for. You are not going to disagree with a single one of these questions. You're going to say, you know what? That's exactly what I'm looking for. I should make sure that the person I work with can answer that question brilliantly and wonderfully. Thank you, Azam. I love you. You're so gorgeous and beautiful. I hear it all the time. I know. Then, okay, so first go to their website, see how many answers you can get there. Then, by the way, Azam Mayo, rhymes with KO, go to bigria.com, the world's number one. We're building the world's largest organization for special needs business owners and real estate investors. We're also the number one channel for Indiana real estate, the world's clearest instructions on how to create a $30,000 a month passive income, all kinds of cool stuff. Bigria.com. Do it now. Okay, then email, text. So first, go to the website without talking to them. See how many of these questions you can get answered. Then email, text them. Don't call them. First, email and text them. See how quickly they reply, how completely they reply, and who replies, right? And then call them up. Doing the last thing is call them up. Now, what you're going to find with about half the people in any market, really, you're going to be hard pressed to get an answer through email, call, text. You do anything. You call them up and say, hey, I've got $1 billion. You just call me back today, and they'll call you back tomorrow. Oh, I meant to call you back. They're not going to. They're LCs across the board. So where to get these answers? Again, first go to their website, then email them, then text them, and then call them up. The last thing you should do is call them up to get these answers. Take note of why each question is important and the good and bad examples I'm about to go over. Make sure you understand why you're asking this question, what a good answer is, what a bad answer is, and how to translate the BS that they're going to throw at you sometimes. And I don't mean to be mean and beat up these Indianapolis property managers or whatever property managers or Indiana realtors, but listen, you need to be merciless. These people, this is your entire life's, your savings, your investment. This is your baby, right? If somebody, think of it, they're basically your babysitters for your assets. So how strict should you be on your babysitting? Be like, I don't want to ask them if they've been arrested because that's not very nice. It's really, I don't want to ask if they've ever been convicted of rape because I don't want to be too nosy. They're watching your kids, right? You have a right to ask everything. You can download the quiz for free and use it during your research and grading, and let us know what happens, by the way. And if you have a better question, I'd love to hear it. I don't think you're going to have one. You're going to say these 9 questions like, oh my gosh, if I did that, I would be as beautiful and brilliant as you, Azam, or at least 10% as good looking as you, Azam. Lastly, if you have any questions or need any help, ask us anything. Get in touch with Anna. She'll help you through everything. This is a crazy bitch, man. She is focused, driven, obsessed. Okay, let's go over these 9 questions here. So how well do they answer them? 1, 2, and 3. Let's go over why they're important. So number 1, where are the testimonials? You don't want to see stuff like, oh, so-and-so's, not a gang rapist. Oh, he's not an axe murderer. We don't want to see stuff like that. Or great job. And then just, I love the initials. That's great. JB, Indianapolis. Oh my gosh. Look, you need to see, first, keep this in mind. The less information that is on a testimonial, the more likely it is to be BS, right? Now, when I used to use testimonials, I used to put up name, number, phone number, and email address. I stopped doing that because people started hounding them, annoying them, blah, blah, blah. When you get our investor packet, that's the information you get though. If you've got the printed one, we actually include phone numbers, tag, and we tell everyone we work with, listen, when we send out that package, when somebody's like paid for it or when we're working with somebody, if you don't mind, we can include everyone. No one has ever said no. Everyone said, yeah, absolutely. I want to talk to anyone. And, I have no problem doing that. So I don't expect that. No one's going to do that because that's like ultra badass. But it's, first of all, where are the testimonials? What you want to see? This goes hand in hand with number 2. What's the definition of success? So let's talk about definition of success first. Did you put that down there? Because I was thinking about that. I was thinking that well, okay, it's fine. But maybe it's fine. Okay, what is the definition of success? Let's start with that. When people say, oh, we manage Indianapolis properties, right? you should pretty much be ready to hang up the phone if that's all they say. What I'm saying is that you want to have a number out of them. You want to have, so the reason this is important, success is important because for most property managers, if they're being totally honest, Indianapolis property managers or realtors that help you find deals, their definition of success is you close a deal. That's it. Once the closing happens, trying to get in touch with them, whatever. And if they're a property manager, they want to get you locked into a long contract that's going to take a lawsuit to get you out of, and they just get to collect fees regardless of what happens, regardless of how well that property performs. Then they start, all of a sudden you get hit up for a $200 landscaping fee. You're like, wait, what? Or a $300, well, we had to clean the gutters, we had to clean the roof, or we had, a break-in down the street, we had to hire security, all kinds of craziness that we're hearing when we're talking to these investors over the last couple of weeks. We've been talking to people that are getting just not only, there's all kinds of BS fees and stuff that they can add that you don't even notice. But the first thing to look at when you talk to a property manager is ask them, what's the definition of success? What would you say a successful client looks like? What does that look like? And keep it open-ended. They're going to be like, well, the reason it's important is that you know what success is defined. So for example, we say, this is what a good answer is, right? A good answer is over 5 years, you should have a passive income of $5,000 to $10,000, or over 5 to 7 years, 3 to 7 years, you should have a passive income, a six-figure passive income, right? So that's our definition of success. Now, specifically, what we talk about on an individual property is we should be able to cash flow about 14%, 15%, depending on the property or whatever our number is. We look at the property and we say, look, this is success for this property. And then we move on to, and we're going to talk about the asset acquisition plan later. Is that, we could have put that, it's fine. No, leave it. This is perfect, exactly the way it is. But this is first, what is the definition of success? So when you call it a property manager, when you're managing one of my properties, what's success look like to you? Does that mean that your clients create a passive income of they cash flow a property based on X, or based on this property, what would be successful? Should I make 50% of my money, 80% of my money or whatever of the gross rent based on how much I owe on the property and how much a tenant is? So we take success in a few different ways. Number one is we should have a larger plan. And if they don't have a large plan of success, that means they're not used to working with people long term. That's not good, right? We want to have people saying, look, the reason we do this management is one piece of a much bigger pie. And we want to see all of our clients create a passive income or create a portfolio of 100 properties or whatever. What you're looking for is a number. What is success? Not just, we'll manage your property. We'll collect rent, take a percentage of that rent. What if a property is a $100,000 property? Our goal is to make sure success for us is that you're getting 1%, 1.1% rent, something like that. You get what I mean? Go through our other classes on the 50% rule, the 1% rule, the 2% rule, different cash flow analysis. Whoever answers the phone should know this, by the way, because they should be able to at least give you some sense of what success is and when they work with a client, how do they define success? That's number one. Get a definition of success. And if they say, well, it depends on each client, give them your situation and say, based on my situation, what do you think success is? If all they're doing is managing and they're not helping you acquire, you should really look into that because they should be in the market. They should have leads. But if that's all they're doing, just helping you manage, find out what success is. What's the cash on cash return, whatever, right? So definition of success. If I said that enough, first definition of success, number one, that's number two. That's the first thing we went over. Then number one, the second thing look at is the testimonials. This is what I always say to people, like gurus, Instagram gurus, everyone, find out what the definition of success is, but then you need to see people who are accomplishing that definition of success. So when someone says, well, our goal is to make sure our clients have, 50 properties, or that they're able to produce, 10%, 15% cash on cash, or they're able to produce 1% or 2% on, duplexes at 150,000 or whatever, you need to see, okay? You need to see where that testimonial is. Where is that success story of that person doing what you just said? So first, get a definition of success, right? What is success? And then where can I see that person? Someone that has accomplished that very thing that you said by your own definition is your goal for your clients. And it's amazing how many people don't have this stuff. Now, I'm not saying they don't have those success stories. Maybe they do, but you want to find out the details behind that success story, right? So when we say, for example, why is the definition of success important? It's important you know what you're aiming for. A bad answer is someone just like, well, we're just trying to make money, or we'll make sure that it's managed for you, and we'll give you customer satisfaction. None of that stuff means anything. You want a number specifically. How much cash did I make on this property? What should be my 5-year goal on this property? What do you think success is? Okay, now I got success. Number two is where are the testimonials? Where are the success stories? This is important because you need to know that they are recreating a success they've already had with you, and you're not the guinea pig. Otherwise, it's like they're just testing stuff with you, just injecting you with stuff, and I hope it works. They have no idea what's happening. And this is your baby, right? This is your retirement. So it's super important that you look for that testimonial. So a bad answer is they don't have any, or if they do, they're very vague and non-specific. Oh, they did a great job. A good answer is, honestly, all these answers, the best answer I know of is our stuff, bigria.com. When I say, for example, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand a month, I believe we are the only people, and I don't just mean with property management or Indian investing or Midwest investing, I mean anywhere in the world that have created the success stories we have. We have really mastered, I don't want to say mentally, because it's like Khabib said, even if you're a black belt, mentally you have to be a white belt, but we have really got this process down of getting people from 0 to 10 to 30 grand a month, 50 grand a month. This is something we've done. Ain't no thing, man. We do this all the time. Heroes, we're doing this. I mean, it's not difficult to do. We have the most successful track record that I know of. If you want to know what to look for, of getting people to those numbers, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month, like it ain't no thing, man. It's not that difficult. So when we work with somebody, we know whether we're managing a property, whether we're building a business, doing whatever, we know exactly, from day one, we know exactly the exact math to get into. This is what you've got to get, man. First, definition of success. You got to find those testimonials. Do these two things that'll wipe out 90% of your problems. The reason you went with someone is because you didn't define success early and you didn't have testimonials, so you weren't able to understand what the next thing we're going to talk about. You're not able to see the checklist, the policies, the protocols, the practices that they're going to put in place to make sure that you achieve that result, so that you can both come together with your ruler. Where should we be at month one? Where should we be at month two? What should I get every week? You need to have these things established. If not, you're just shooting in the dark, and they're just like, well, I hope this works, and they have no idea what's going on. So those are the first two that'll wipe out almost all the problems you have. So grade these people. 1 is bad, 2 is okay, 3 is extremely well. 3, we're at like 5. Big Ria's at like 5, right? So just give these people, if they're at a 3, if anyone gets a 27 on this, my gosh, tell me who they are. I will go be their best student. I'm not exaggerating either. I mean, they've got to be amazing, brilliant, beautiful people just like me, right? Number 3, where exactly is their nobody mountain? This is super important. A nobody mountain, we've talked about this, it's like creating the standard. We had one of our heroes, every time we talked to a realtor, we'd write down all the things they do for their client, and we called that the Sally mountain. Then we'd write down somebody else's, all the stuff they did for a client if we sent them a renter or a buyer or whatever, and we call that the Bob mountain, right? And one of our heroes said, you know what we need to dominate and to win in business is a nobody mountain, an accumulation of effort, resources, input, work, hustle that collapses anybody else's, right? It towers over everybody else's. Think of it like this. If you're going into starting a business, if you do something like, okay, every time a customer comes in, I'm going to write them a thank you note. Every time you do something, you take one step up. And every time you take a step up, there's less people that are willing to do that. A nobody mountain is somebody who's willing to do, they've shown that they've demonstrated that they're willing to go far and above what anybody else. Right now, there are exactly 23 advertisers, I believe, that are advertising on Indiana keywords on pay-per-click. How do you think I know that, by the way? Because I take this business seriously. When we get into Indianapolis and we're going to do investing, let's find out who's paying per click. And I know exactly how much each of them are paying per click. And I went over examples and stories and how we're able to pay a fraction. We are paying less for per click than anybody else in the Indianapolis market or in the Midwest market because we put out so much content, because we've built our nobody mountain. Google is great at avoiding people that have a nobody mountain. If you're willing to build a site like Big Ria to put up so much more material, be so much more obsessed, and go so much further than anybody else, they will reward you for it by giving you cheaper clicks and also sending you more traffic. But what you're looking for is, no matter what you're looking, if you're talking to a property manager, a realtor, whatever, you need to look for something about them that's special, something about them that shows they have demonstrated they are doing more. If I were to ask you, if your wife or your husband or someone asked you, hey, why did you pick that realtor? Why did you pick that person? You need to be able to say something that's impressive. Whoa, go check this out. Go look at that. Or here's the portfolio they have. Or here's something, some accumulation where an invisible hustle does not exist, right? Their hustle, you only want to work with people who are hustlers, who are diehard, obsessed with their stuff. Because the way they take care of, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. The way that they return phone calls, the way they return emails dictates everything. We get more calls from online sources than I think anybody, probably in the Midwest, I'm pretty sure. The number of money calls and other calls that we get, every single call is handled the same way, dealt with the same way, same script, uniform execution. Every single question, hey, have you called us before? Have you talked to us before? Have you gone through the profile? Have you gone through, have you gone through the people page? Whatever, by the way, real quickly, whatever your problem is in Indiana real estate, I promise you, get in touch. That's love@bigria.com. Send Ann an email or send her a text. And whatever your problem is, I promise we'll make time for you. We will solve your problem for you. Even if we don't make any money, we'll make sure that you get your problem solved. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of obsession, which I think was when you put, I love how you put that in there. But the nobody mountain, really quickly, what that is, you need to find something that shows where's their hustle illustrated. Is it a website? Is it articles? Is it blogs? Somewhere you can see, like, is it number of deals? Is it something that you can look at? You could say, yeah, that's how I know this guy's going to go further than anybody else. They're going to do more than anybody else. They're more into this than anybody else. And nobody mounted. So where is that? Or is everything pretty much look the same? Their website looks the same. The way they return phone calls look the same. The way they market properties is about the same. The way they run their properties about the same. The cash flow they generate from those properties about the same. The quality of deals it's just, man, everything's like a 1 or a 2. Then what do you expect? They're going to treat you like a 1 or a 2. Don't do it. Number 4, can I go through the education process? A video like this, for example, is very instrumental because you're going to come away from this and you're going to be highly educated and empowered to go out and actually, build a team and actually be able to make change and create a generational impact in your own stuff. You should only work with people that when you're done talking to them about what they do, you should feel educated. You should feel like, you know what? I know a lot more about X than I did before. And this process, hopefully you didn't have to call them. They should have gotten it through email or text, or you should have gotten it through the when you went to their website. The first thing we will tell you whenever you talk to us is, have you gone through this? Have you gone through that? We have education processes in place because we want to have people who are qualified before we talk to them. But sometimes people, they're like, is this a real thing? I don't know. Yeah, I get that. So that's why sometimes we'll talk to them. We'll have a beautiful conversation, but then we send them to an online resource. You should be able to see that you should be able to go through some education from this company, from some, whether it's their online material, whether it's a book or a pamphlet or a consumer guide or something like that, something that you should get from them that educates you, if nothing else, on their process, what happens, what to expect, and it educates them about their testimonials, about their definition of success, something, their mission, their values, what is important to them, why are they doing this? You should get some sort of education that you're able to go through. If you don't have anything like that, if it's just a bland site that can be anybody else's site, there's nothing on there that's specially unique, it doesn't explain anything, doesn't educate you about the indie market or about cash on cash. Like when people, the one thing we constantly heard again and again, a lot of investors who had problems, we sent them to some of our stuff. They'll go through like 1 or 2 classes. They'll say, I learned more in this 5 minutes than I learned, 3 years from my realtor, 5 years being at this property manager or whatever, because we want you to understand this is how you build wealth. This is where you're at in the process of building wealth. This is how you calculate cash flow. This is a realistic expectation of what you can make on a rental, right? Education, right? Because that, hate and fear, low frequency thinking always comes from ignorance. And the better you educate yourself, Plato said nobody knows enough to be pessimistic about anything, right? That's why anytime we're down in low frequency thinking, pessimism, anger, fear, negativity, it's always ignorance, right? The way through that is through education. And you need to be working with people who have some sort of education process in place. Otherwise, it's just a 1-800 number or there's nothing there. And sometimes people will have some of these cases, they have these podcasts that nobody listens to or these like videos that nobody watches. And it's just long, self-stroking. They're just talking about how great and awesome they are. You don't learn it. Like they're not thinking about the person. They're not thinking about the actual individual who's taking actual, education, actually being able to be empowered. They're learning something useful and they go out and use. It's like, somebody sent me a clip from their manager and they were talking about, they spent like 20 minutes talking about this guy's dog. And now he thinks that he's being like clever and funny, but I don't want to say anything negative or I don't want to put people down, but these people are, I guess I should though, because they're really taking advantage of this guy who's out of state and they've locked him into this contract and they're threatening to sue him over it. We're helping him out. We're helping him get through it and if you have a problem with that, like that, let us know. We'll get in touch with these people. Go to bigria.com/people. We've got a list of people that can help you, but if you need any other help, let us know. We'll make sure you get help, but we'll make sure that we solve your problem. But there should be an education process you're able to go through. Number 5, can I see and build my own asset acquisition plan? Look, this is vital. How long, when you talk to somebody, ask yourself this question. We've been talking about this lately. She was saying the Jerry Maguire thing. Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise writes this like manifesto on how we should work with less clients, build a deeper relationship, and then of course they fire him. That's how most people react. The Jay Moore, Tom Cruise scene in the diner. If you try to build relationships with people and you try to have less clients, like, what are you thinking? That's insane. We need to get more clients to get all their money. But by going deeper with people, you have a much better relationship and you're able to make a lot more money. And what you want to have, your property manager should know exactly what your financial situation is. They should know how much money you're making, how much money you want to make, what your nest egg is, what your finances are, what your credit's like, your income, how close you are to getting to your passive income, your forever fund. That's the first thing we establish with everyone. Listen, we need to get $6 million, make it 5%, $6 million of equity at 5%. That's $300,000 a year. You're in the 1%. That's our goal, is to get $300,000 a year, a passive income that puts you in the 1% of America, the top 1%, right? So let's work at where you're at right now. Let's come up with our asset acquisition plan. We know as we're managing, we know how many deals we need to pick up. We know the frequency we need to pick. Okay, so I keep screwing this up. Why is this important? Why was the education important? You need to know that they're actually they understand stuff well enough to teach it to you. If they don't, either they understand it, they're not teaching it to you, or they don't understand it well enough to teach you. That's important. A bad answer is basically no education. A great answer, a brilliant answer, again, it's like Big Rita stuff where you go through it and it's like, wow, you can go through that stuff and walk away knowing how to go out and create, generational changes. You learn every time you get something, you learn something useful. That's what you should look for. That would be a 3 or a 5 answer that you're looking for. Number 5, can I build my own asset acquisition plan? Why is this important? You need to have a deep, long-term relationship with these people. We work with them. We tell everyone, look, we're looking for people that we can work with for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's the relationships we're looking for. Every time we have a conversation, we ask ourselves, do we see this relationship being like that? If it's not, we put them onto somebody that might be a better fit, but we want people, it's like Ray Dalio said, meaningful work, meaningful relationships. That's what we're looking for. An asset acquisition plan is basically saying you need to acquire 50 properties over the next 5 years, next 10 years. Here's how many we need to do per quarter. You need to have a plan like that with your management, with your realtors, with your people. They should be active in knowing exactly how much you need to buy, exactly what equity position you need to be, how the financing should be arranged, and they should be able to A to Z. They should have it right at their fingertips. And one of the secrets of doing this is that when somebody talks to you, you should feel like you're the only person on the planet, right? So that's number 5. What's that? Oh, okay. So so a bad answer is there's no asset acquisition plan. Here's how to ask that question, by the way, when you're talking to a property manager or somebody. Just ask them, well, normally when you have a client like that, do you help them acquire properties? Maybe they say yes or no, whatever. Then ask them, okay, well, in general, do you know what their plan is and how many deals they're trying to acquire, what their 5-year, 10-year plan is, like an average client, what would you do? Are you familiar with their plan? Or if we were to solidify that, what would you say that a good plan is to have? And they've got no idea. Almost all of them, they have no idea because they don't care. They just try to get that money every month. They're not getting deep relations with their people. So that's a typical answer is going to be like no, or it's very vague. It's not very clear. What you want, a 3 answer is solid from day one. Here's the mathematical movement we need for you to make 20 grand a month passive or whatever. That's what you want, an answer like that. That's how you know you work with someone that you should trust. Number 6, what other business successes have they had? This is super important. A lot of these guys, I hate to be mean and like condescending or like, elitist. Look, man, I grew up broke as hell, man. We were like, studio apartments and stuff. I mean, that's when we were lucky enough to be in America, man. A lot of times I was in places that you only see on the news. I mean, no electricity, no water stuff. So I'm not looking down on anybody. However, I have the gratitude, right? That you should be able to, I just sat down with a hero, one of our heroes. We're building on one of our side companies is an organization. Our sister companies, our special needs group. And then we have an inner city special needs group where we're building a 1 million inner city business owners under the age of 21, right? And I sat down with one of our heroes who just made his first 10 grand a month, but he spent the money in a not ideal way. He's rebuilding, coming back, and should be stronger. This is a guy who's 20 years old, doesn't know how to read. He's just now learning how to read, never met his father, and I bought him this Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and he said it, he ate it, and he was like, oh my gosh. And he never had ever had ice cream in his life before. Think about that. 20 years old, never had ice cream before, never met his father, doesn't know how to read. Where is he going in life? By the way, covered in tattoos, right? Where is he going in life? Not great. And what can we do? Me and you, entrepreneurs, business builders, instead of, pull your pants up and get a job, that shit doesn't help, man. What we can do is we can use this business, real estate, business building, all this stuff. We can use this to create a generational change for him and how he can improve himself. That's how seriously I take this business, right? So when I see people, the one thing I see with like a lot of these real estate guys, these I buy homes guys, these property managers, is they're kind of like bums. Like they're not that savvy. They're not that skilled. I know that sounds, I don't want to be mean, but it's like, they don't have any like real, like, why should you, like, just ask yourself whenever, and you should say the same thing about me. Why should you listen to me? When you talk to anybody about your asset, your baby, why should you take them seriously? Like, what have they really done? Like, what have they really, and I don't mean done for themselves, what have they done for others? Do they have any success stories on their team? For example, take somebody like Anna on our team, somebody who many of you have worked with, and this is somebody who is far beyond passive income of being in the 1%, right? But yet we're still working together. Find me one other person on the internet in general, like on these Instagram gurus, influencers, that has a situation like that, let alone somebody locally, and let alone somebody who deals with property management, that has figured out a way to organize their business, such a hierarchy that even when somebody is rich, quote unquote, well over 6 figures a month, that it still makes sense for them to be around. It still makes sense for them to work with you. That's what's called team building. People say, oh, you can't manage a property. Nobody will manage as well as yourself. What that means is that they don't know how to build a team. That's what that means. And they haven't had any other business success. Because you could say the same thing about anything. Why hire people for your business? They're not going to take it as seriously as you'll take it. That's true. That's why you have to have policies and checklists in place and methods of execution in place, that uniform execution, all the same business building stuff. But don't work with anybody. This is just a business, and business is nothing more than a checklist, and management and building a team and being obsessive and being crazy and being skilled. Steve Jobs said that the goal of any business is to build a fan base, ultimately to build something that you find useful. If somebody has only done real estate stuff, that means they kind of fell into it. They're not very good at it. They probably haven't had customer service. They're not very good at building a business or scaling things. They're not very, like, you look at, like, I don't know, we buy, sell, fix, trade, and grow companies, whatever was on the website, whatever hook we had. I don't know, it's like something like 3,000 companies in 20 countries over the last several years. And I say that because you should, if somebody who has true appreciation for entrepreneurship, for business building, and they know what it can do, they have gratitude and they don't mess around. When you trust them, they treat you like family. And you got to work with somebody who understands business and who understands how to quickly adapt to market changes. Otherwise, you're going to have just a regular LC. It's not going to do something good. So here's what you want to look for. The reason this is important is you want to know you're working with somebody who knows how to dance. When the shit hits the fan, man, they get onto it and they're going to make it happen. They're going to find a way to win. They're going to Mayweather it, man. No matter what happens, what you throw at them, they find a way to adapt. They find a way to win. There's no better way to know that than say, you know what other business successes do they have? What other companies are they running? What other people on their team? What are other people on their team? What other companies are they building? Look for that kind of stuff. So that's why it's important. A bad answer is nothing. They don't have anything to show for you. A good answer is you've got multiple people like we've got on our team, heroes that go out and do all kinds of really cool stuff, because ultimately when I lost all my stuff, all my money, nobody that invested in me lost any money because I put models in place. I put the lender agent model in place, and I made sure everyone who trusted me got paid. No one's ever lost money making a move or following what I said. Even when the business collapses, people will tell you to go to Margaret today. She'll tell you, listen, if a meteor hits it, Azamil will find a way to make sure you get paid. He always wins. Always Mayweather. Okay, so that's number 6. Number 7, how transparent, ethical is the process of acquiring and managing? What actually are they doing? So a lot of these property managers or realtors or wholesalers or people, the way they find deals, motivated sellers, is they just get the phone book basically from places like PropStream, and they just harass the shit out of them. They spam them. They harass them by calls and emails and spams. It's not business building. It's not marketing. It's not lead generation. They're basically taking the phone book, spamming the hell out of these people. This is why the laws are changing. And then people are getting like 50, 60 texts like, oh my gosh, I hate this. Why am I getting so many texts every day? Would you be interested in selling your house? What's the lowest price you could take for your house? How transparent? We are very transparent. Go to our motivated seller page. We have, man, the LCs at Google sometimes lower us, but it was the number 1 page for motivated sellers. One of the most expensive terms on the internet is real estate investing. Within that, the most sought after term is motivated sellers. We used to be the first entry that came in. Google thought we were the number 1 page. We have to do a few updates to our page, but we have a page that is on the first page or second page of motivated sellers, and it's go to bigria.com, the 100 motivated sellers. We're very transparent how we build relationships, how we find our motivated sellers. So you want to make sure that you're working with people that are doing ethical, scalable things. They're doing really cool stuff. That's why that question is important. A bad answer is they don't tell you how they're finding deals, or they're not finding deals, worse yet. A good answer is not only do they tell you how they're doing it, but they can teach you how to do it. Other people are using their methods and doing it successfully. They've got a good, robust system of explaining, here's how we do business. Here's our value system. Here's our belief system. Here is the kind of community stuff. Okay, this leads to the next question. Number 8, what good are they doing in their communities? We have the largest indoor farming, I think, the largest ghetto farming, they call it, inner city gardens, they've different names for it. That's one thing that what I just said about the inner city business owners, 1 million inner city business owners, all kinds of cool stuff. The special needs groups, you need to see when these people are in that community, what are they doing? If they're making money and they're making things happen, what are they doing to give back to the communities? What are they doing to help these communities? We have one way we do these fire and police games. We do a tug of war, and we use it to find motivated sellers because the police go out and they advertise it, and then the firemen go out and they go door to door with the tug of war. So the tug of war, we have the cops and the firemen. They play this game of tug of war, and we do it for charity. So to raise money, we have them to knock on doors, and they give people this little flyer that says, "Hey, it's a police and fire tug of war games. You can donate money to whatever charity they want." And then on the back, the sponsor is you. If you need a cash offer on your house, let me know. And you can also sell that back of that flyer too. And any money that's made, you can give to the group as well. And any money you make on the deals you do, you give a portion of that money to the group as well. It's a great way to find motivated sellers, but it's a great way to help the community out too. It's very helpful. But you need to know, I mean, if you have a property in Indianapolis or wherever, don't you want to know the people that you're giving money to are also doing good stuff with that money? Because then it helps you feel good and you're doing good stuff to build up these communities. The reason why people have like gentrification problems and all that kind of stuff, we do all kinds of stuff with people that are going through gentrification. We do whatever we can to help them. Whenever we have tenants, we have all kinds of processes with cash for keys to help them find another property and help them make all kinds of things happen. There's so many opportunities, so many great things to be able to do if you take that attitude of, you know what, this is a group of people. Every time I meet someone, it's like Seneca said, it's an opportunity to practice to kindness. It's also the same thing with opportunity. Every opportunity is an opportunity to practice, is a chance to practice gratitude. Every moment of gratitude creates opportunity. It's a cyclical thing. Every time you meet somebody, pretend they were put in your world, in your life for a reason. This is a big belief of ours. You should do something to help them and help them dramatically. I say this because like when I look at some of these like property managers that people are working with, I was like, man, why the hell did you pick this person? Like there's nothing cool about them at all. Like they're not doing anything interesting. And it would take like a few seconds to figure that out. But if I had to use one of these things, we have like a volunteer army we use. We have the groups of volunteer armies that we use, and we pick companies. We go and we volunteer for companies, organizations, groups like that. All kinds of really cool stuff. If I ever met a property manager that did that, I would do whatever I could to make sure that they got rich. I would say, man, I need to send you as much business as we can. So I'm not looking for an answer like that. This is important. Why is this important? You obviously want to do help in the communities. What's the bad answer? They're not doing any help. They can't prove it. They're not doing it. They're just a bunch of LCs. A great answer is what you want with the stuff I just said, like the big RIA stuff. Like look at all the great things that we've got going on, all the heroes. We have like books of testimonials of things that are going on. Really cool stuff. You need to work with people that are serving, that want to help. Honestly, I'm not that kind of a person. Like I get a lot of credit for the special needs stuff, but honestly, like I'm not that great of a person. It's like if they're not making money or I don't see a path to that, I hate to say it, but I kind of check out. Anna is what you're thinking of. She's like that librarian, that nerdy birdie girl. She just wants to take care of people. She has it in her nature. That's the kind of people you need to look for, because I don't have that as much in my nature, although I was a big brother and I had to take care of like my cousins and stuff who were younger than me. That's what you need, someone who had to take care of their siblings, because it's just in their DNA to take care of people and to take care of the communities and to make sure they give back. So look for people who serve their communities. communities. Number 9, are these people crazies? People who are hungry, skilled, and obsessed. This is why it's important. You should only work. You have the chance to pick anybody. Why pick people who aren't like that, right? So when you pick somebody, you should be able to say like that, those people, this is a question to ask yourself. If you opened a business competing with them, how would you feel? Would you be like, or would you feel like people felt when they used to watch Mike Tyson training? I often tell the kids, I say, listen, type in Mike Tyson training, go to YouTube, type that in. Whatever you do in life, do it like that, right? So is it obvious these people look at this business of turnkey investing, of Indiana real estate or real estate in general, business building in general? Do they look at it and are they nuts? Are they crazy? Are you scared to compete with them? If you're not scared, if they're not crazy, if they're not driven, if they're not, it's not obvious that they're obsessed with it. If they don't have the #1 channel on YouTube for Indiana real estate, if they don't have, I mean, that is one example. If they don't have like badass stuff like that, like, oh my gosh, these people are just annihilating anyone who gets in their way, not even close. If they don't, we have people, different RIAs that are asking us not to come into their markets because they know the pay-per-clicks that we're buying, like they know what we're doing. And all we have to do is adjust, Ohio real estate or whatever, and we quickly see the same results. You should look at them and be like, these people are crazy. These people are hungry. They're skilled. They're obsessed. They're highly motivated. They're very resourceful. And my goodness gracious, I have actual pity for anyone that tries to get in their way, right? That's how I feel about every one of our heroes, man. They're driven. They're crazy. And when a realtor's like, oh, that doesn't work in our area, I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. That's like, I actually have pity for people who try to get in their way. That's how you should feel about your team. Build it with crazies, people who are driven, who are successful, who really want to make things happen. So why is this important? You should only work with crazies. People who feel like, I remember, I've always think about this. When my aunt, she was the first person when Thompson Electronics got shut down in Indianapolis, she was the first person the only person that ever had, this guy told me in 30 years, I've never seen anyone that ever was selected off the line to move with the company, let alone where nobody had a problem with that. Everyone on the line was like, yeah, if anyone should go, it should be her. She was the fastest promoted woman, I think, the only woman that got to her position. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But I talked to the executive and he said, you know what, the executive and the foreman said, you know what it is about your mom? It was my aunt, but he thought it was my mom. He said, every day she walks in here, like there's nowhere else she'd rather be. These guys are a lot of roughneck guys, a lot of fist fights, a lot of drunken stuff, like crazy stuff like that. So these are like, factory workers. She said, but every day she walks in, like there's no place on earth she'd rather be. And it's true. That's how she shows up. I say that because I've learned that from my aunt. Whatever you're doing, if you're not with the one you love the one you're with, right? If you're not doing what you love what you're doing. And it should be obvious. Like there's nothing I'd rather do than be here right now talking to you. There's nothing I'd rather do than be here doing this class. You were joking earlier saying, oh, now you got to do this. No, it's not that I got to do this. I get to do this. I'm so thankful and grateful and blessed to be able to do this, man. And I actually have pity when I see people that, they don't have that, or it's obvious they're just not into what they're saying, right? Only work with people that when they look at their job, when they look at getting up and managing your property or helping you acquire assets or helping you create passive income, do they look at it the way my aunt was when she walked into work? Where it's like, you know what? There's nothing I'd rather do. I'm right here. I'm so blessed and grateful. I'm so glad that the trillions of things that needed to happen in my life happened to me, so that the universe brought me and you on the same path right here, right now for me to help you. I'm so thankful and blessed that that's exactly what I'm able to do right now. And that I was built and I was made to do this, and I was made to make this difference in your life and help you create this generational change. Is that what they're thinking? Because every single hero on our team is in that space. So that's why it's important. A bad answer is like, yeah, but a good answer is something like I just said. So go with this again. Let's start from the top. Where are the testimonials, right? Number 2, what's the definition of success? Number 3, where exactly is there nobody mountain? You need to be able to see it, touch it, grab it, go through it. Number 4, go through their education process. Can I go through it? Can I see it? Where is it? Where can I get educated on their process? Where can I get educated to be a better consumer, a better investor, better whatever? Number 5, can I see and build my own asset acquisition plan, including where are we going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and how can they help me get there? And do they do that with their clients regularly? Number 6, what other business successes have they had? I want to see a whole bunch of stuff. I want to see, are they building a teleportation business in Karachi? Stuff like that, man. You need to see that stuff. Number 7, how transparent and ethical is the process of acquiring and managing? Are they doing spammy horseshit that you don't want to be a part of that? 8, what good are they doing for the communities and how are they serving? If the harder it is to answer that question, man, I brag constantly. I'm bragging constantly. But who am I bragging about? Others, exactly. I'm always bragging about other people. How much money do I make? What type of deals am I doing? You won't know because I never talk about it. I always brag about other people because all that matters is what I've been able to do with other people. I've been able to take whatever skills and resources and everything I've been blessed to have that I absolutely do not deserve. I've been very lucky, the luckiest guy on the planet. And the way that we express that gratitude is in helping other people achieve a similar result. That's why all of our stuff, I'm always bragging, but I'm bragging about other people. The less you've done for others, the more you have to talk about what you've done for yourself. It's the same thing within the communities. The harder it is to find the help that they're doing, the impact they're making in the community, the less likely it is that it exists. So number 9, are these people crazies? Are they driven? Are they successful? Are they hungry? Are they obsessed? They should be those things. And is that's not it? Copywriting for ads, descriptions, okay, so here's an example. Copywriting for real estate investors. I think the number one copywriting real estate, maybe the only real estate copywriting trainer, at least for free least with stuff on YouTube, because copywriting is really important. And we teach this. You don't have to learn to do it as well as I did or as obsessively as I did, where you can write a letter and mail it to a list out of the SRDS. That's pretty excessive. But you should understand the power of words, right? And you should understand the impact it has. Copywriting, when you have a team that's managing your properties, they're going to have to write ads. They're going to have to write descriptions. They're going to have to write emails, thank you letters, books, articles, lease agreements, JV partners, other property managers, other neighbors, other lenders, other buyers and renters. When we write, this is just one example of what some of the training we go through with our heroes. So I talk about this concept of show, don't tell. Whenever we write, we want to use verbs, not adjectives, right? I've used this phrase many times. Everything around me was bankrupt. It came from a short story. So one of our heroes is actually, this is required reading if you want to work on our team to manage properties. This is a good question. When I talk about how obsessive and nuts we are, how many property managers in Indianapolis have to do this kind of shit before they're allowed to work on properties? And again, it's obvious. Ask any copywriter, ask anyone in business really good. Send them to Big Ria and say, how would you describe the copywriting skill of this person? They will tell you world class. And I don't write all the copy. I write almost all of it, but Anna's now getting better at it. We have a few other heroes that are getting better and better at it. Go through my class on copywriting and how you can write 500 word articles and make 10, 15 grand a month, because that's copywriting in a box. But this is being able to write, being able to use words that have compliance is super important. Here's a short story that we used that was in our quiz earlier. Okay, so this is an example. This lesson here is how to show, don't tell. When we talk about this whole session, I go over on writing ads, writing letters. We want to use verbs, not adjectives. We want to show, don't tell. Here's an example from that story. So everything around me was bankrupt. Was that line? This is a story we use it from. Think about this. All right, just listen carefully. Try not to be sucked away. Focus where you are. Focus on the light, the camera, whatever's around you, the cars. Don't get sucked away to another world. Don't do it. Don't let it happen, okay? You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to take you to another world. But don't let me do it. You're too smart for that, right? Okay. The evening was approaching. The rain was falling. I'm going to use my podcast voice. No, I won't do that. The rain was falling, and the wind blew violently from the north. It whistled in the empty booths and shops, blew into the pastured window panes of the taverns, and whipped into foam the wavelets of river, which splashed noisily on the sandy shore, casting high their white crests, racing one after another into the dim distance, and leaping impetuously over one another's shoulders. It seemed as if the river felt the proximity of winter, and was running at random away from the fetters of ice, which the north wind brought, which the north wind might well have flung upon her that very night. The sky was heavy and dark. Down from it swept incessantly scarcely visible drops of rain, and the melancholy, elegy, and nature all around me was emphasized by a couple of battered and misshapen willow trees in a boat, bottom upwards, that was fastened to the roots. The overturned canoe with its battered keel and the miserable old trees rifled by the cold wind. Everything around me was bankrupt, barren, and dead, and the sky flowed with undryable tears. Everything around me was waste and gloomy. It seemed as if everything were dead, leaving me alone among the living, and for me also, cold death awaited. My gosh, a cold death awaited. How could you not get transformed to that place, right? This is how we create images with words. This is the kind of training that we go through and the kind of quizzes we have when we talk about how do you show, don't tell. Think about these things I highlighted. As if the river felt the proximity of winter and was running at random away from the fetters of ice, right? We use verbs, not nouns. The north wind might well have flung upon her that very night. This is great stuff, man. I love this shit, man. This is everything around me was bankrupt. Oh gosh, it's so visual, right? Anyway, my point is that this is the kind of stuff that crazies do, that obsessed people do, that skilled people do, that hungry people do. You make people, you want to manage a property in Indianapolis? You got to read this kind of shit, man. You got to learn how to talk like this, write like this. This is how we have, something like 1,700 renters for 2 properties that we had that are built, 1,700 buyers and renters. We send them emails. Ask yourself this. If you have a property manager that goes out, we'll put up an ad on Craigslist, I suppose, versus we have 1,700 renters and buyers of other similar properties in that area. Whenever we get a property, we immediately market other properties just like it. And when we send them emails and voicemails and texts, it's done by people who are skilled by going through stuff like this. This is the kind of words that they use. Get on our email list. We have the largest email newsletter in Indiana, in the Midwest. If you're not, you should be getting those emails. If for no other reason than see what happens when you write like this and how does it sound every week. Really cool stuff, man. I love this stuff, man. I'm really into it. So know why each is important. Know what a good answer is. One more time. What are the testimonials? What's the definition of success? What's the nobody mountain? Where is it? I should be able to see it. Can I go through their education process? Number five, can I see and build my own acquisition plan? Number 6, what other business successes have they had? Number 7, how transparent and ethical is the business of acquiring and managing? What good are they doing for the communities? How are they serving? Are these people crazies? Are they hungry, skilled, and obsessed? Guys, go through these questions. I promise you're going to find good people. You're going to get a lot better skilled. You're going to know exactly what questions to ask. Go through our guide below. You actually can go through and number as you have these questions. There's, I think, 5 or 10 different examples of sheets that we have. You can print them out. You can print out as many as you want. Keep it. Use it. Grade people from 1 to 3. Make sure you pick good people. If you need any other help or anything else, give us a call. Send us a text, please, first, because she gets a lot of calls. So send us a text, please, or email us, love@bigria.com. Thank you so much. I love you.